All right, so we're going to get started. Again, it's new strategy for older workers. I'm Mary Schneller. I'm going to be your instructor for today. So let's get started. So this is a nice graphic just showing you, all the things that, great leaders have gone through, kind of this percentage hill of a mountain. When you first start off, you might feel like I don't want to do this, or I won't, I can, I don't know how. Goes all the way up to I think I can, like the little train in Thomas the Tank Engine. And Babe Ruth has a great quote: "It's hard to beat a person who never gives up," which is great. Um, and then someone else said, I can is 100 times more important than IQ. So there's a lot of famous people who did a lot with not as much education or IQ or whatever it is, but I think you need to, it's a good thing to think about when you're looking for a job, that the more that you work and the more that you try, the better it's going to go for you. So just a quick reminder, you will be getting this PowerPoint presentation after the class. You need to be here for 30 minutes, and that will mean that you've attended the class and that I will send you the PowerPoint. And I'll keep repeating that through the class. Another great quote. I think a lot of us struggle with this when we start to feel down about ourselves. Easy to do when you're looking for a job, but you got to always try to stay positive and think about all the great qualities, experience, education that you've had, and that you're valuable. You're going to be a good asset to some company. So, really try to keep that in mind. These are a couple of resources for 50 plus job seekers. We're going to be giving you a lot of resources today, but these are a couple. 55 plus workers at Career One Stop, and then careers.edx.org is also a great website. Depending, it doesn't really matter. It's going to be great whether you're 50 or under, but it's particularly good for job seekers who are over 50. I always give a plug for our Tailored for Success career closet. We have two closets right now. One is in Woburn and one is in Cambridge. On Wednesdays, we're open from 9 to 12, and in Cambridge, we're open 9 to 12 on Wednesdays as well. Um, so if you want an appointment with one of the people that work there, you can email them at this email address. They can style you. There's a lot of really nice clothing that gets donated by businesses. So if you need a new outfit for your interview, you don't have, the clothes that you need for an interview, you can just pop by or make an appointment, and they'll give you some suggestions for things that would look good on you. We have blazers, pants, shirts, ties, skirts for the women. We also have some jewelry. So, it's really a great resource. They'll also outfit you for a first week of work if you don't have enough clothes for the first week of your new job. So definitely take advantage of that. Okay. So people can't hear. Okay. Everybody else hearing okay? It might be your PC. Sometimes I tell people to, and I'll put up my audio as well. Can people just let me know? Okay, I can hear fine. Okay, great. Excellent. Yeah, sometimes there's issues. Just log off and come back in. Okay, thanks for letting me know. All right, so quick introduction of me. If you've been on my webinars, you know who I am, but some of you who don't, I am a workshop facilitator here in Woburn. I'm also a career coach. I was a learning and development professional for more than 20 years. About a year and a half ago, I shifted to career coaching and workshop facilitation. I've definitely been in your shoes. I've been laid off a bunch of times. I've been asked to leave a couple times. Not fun. But here I am. I'm still kicking. I didn't let it get to me. I did let it get to me at points, but then I knew I had to work. I had to help, feed my family and all that good stuff. So that's what I hope for you all too, that you'll keep going and you'll get something that you like that can help you with your finances and it'll be a good fit for you. Okay, so just quick instructions on the laptop controls. If you need to ask a question, you're going to either use the chat or the Q&A. If you need to leave the session, you're going to click that red X. To activate closed captioning, you will click the CC button, and that transcription will be read. And then for different languages, if English is not your first language, we have a multitude of languages you can pick from. Once you choose one, you'll see what I'm saying in English in your native language. To access the controls, you can just click the three dots. So this would be for people on cell phones. You're going to click the three dots and click advanced, and then you'll be able to go to Q&A. Chat may not be available, so you might have to use Q&A to chat with me. For closed captioning, you're going to click advanced and then the WebEx assistant, and that will help you with what I just went through. I'm just checking. Yes, can hear fine. Okay, that's great, Paolo. Thanks for letting me know. I know. I met you yesterday. Okay, so everybody can hear. That's fine, Paolo. Yep. Okay, great. So our goals for today. So the first thing you want to do in a job search, and you've probably already done this, is, what are my goals? I mean, a lot of you are probably thinking, yeah, I just need to get a job. Um, One of the things we always stress is, you need to update your resume. Things are changing all the time in many fields, and job hunting is no exception. So if you have not taken a workshop with us or another center, you're going to need to update your resume. A lot's changed, and it's a good practice. You'll also want to conduct some informational interviews. I said that to someone the other day and they said, "Oh, like in college." And I'm like, "Well, if you want to get into a new field, you're going to need to talk to some people about what it's like to work in that type of field and get some information about, what you should put in your resume, what's a typical day like. All of that is really important. You're also going to need to get comfortable with social media. I know a lot of older workers are not, but that's really, you need to stay relevant. So I'm not saying you have to be a whiz on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that, but just know them and understand how they work. Um, excuse me, if you need help with that, we have a digital assistant here in Woburn and also in Cambridge. I get a lot of help from my daughter who's 20, almost 23. If you have children or grandchildren who can help you, they can be a great resource. You also want to explore the hidden job market, and we're going to talk about what that means in a few slides. Networking is going to be really important to your job search. So you're going to have to screw up your courage and get out there and talk to people. I know it's tough to admit that you're out of a job, but everyone has been unemployed at some point or another. It's just the way things are now with our in our economy. So there's nothing to be ashamed of. And you just need to, put your head high and say, "Hey, this is what I can do. This is what I can do for you." The other thing is to develop some interview questions if you're going to have a informational interview. So, again, this workshop is really designed to give you many tools to avoid being seen as, quote, old. When someone sees your information or talks with you, they should see what a great fit you are for the job rather than focusing on your age. So I invite you to stretch a little and just try some of these techniques. So, step one of your job search, as I said, is to prioritize your goals. So, you want to ask some of these questions. Do you want to add fulfillment to your life? Maybe you've been in a job you weren't that happy with, so maybe you want to do something different. Do you need to add to your retirement funds? Some people might be in that spot where, they've had a couple of layoffs and they're not where they need to be to retire. So, that could be one of your goals. Maybe you want to take a risk. Maybe you've been very safe through your life because you had family and educations to pay for, mortgages. Maybe now you have the ability to do that. Maybe you want to proceed in a whole new direction, something different from what you've been doing all along in most of your career. You have to think about what are your financial obligations. That's probably one of the first things you want to think about. How much you need to make in order to make this new job work. Also, how much longer do you plan to work? That's a good thing to be thinking about as well. How much time do you have to explore? If you're going to be losing unemployment pretty soon, you might not have that much time if it's a big part of your income. And the other thing is, what are your deadlines? Excuse me one second. All right. So these are just some things you want to think about. I'm going to be just taking a cough drop, so I'll try not to be too disruptive, but it's just going to help me keep my voice. So here's a good quote about baby boomers, which is you might not be a boomer, you might be in Generation X, but what this quote said is that nearly half of working boomers, so to speak, are looking for a career change. This was according to a new LinkedIn data survey. Some want to reinvent themselves in their current roles, others just hope to switch employers or even positions. Fortunately, thanks to the escalating demand for talent, which was driven by the Great Resignation, this happened after COVID, a growing number of businesses are warming to older applicants as age-friendly employers. Now, one tip I will give you is the state jobs are pretty open to older employers. I got a job there when I was in my 50s. It helps if you can match your skills to what they're looking for, but I know that they are hospitable, I would say, to older workers. So that's just a tip. The other thing you might want to look into if you haven't already is ChatGPT and Gemini. These are both AI tools that can help you with your job search. You can think of it as a personal assistant, or as my former colleague used to say, it's Google on steroids. So you can go to openai.com for a free chat GPT account. Gemini is a similar tool that's put out by Google. And here's a nice article to help you stay relevant in the job market. The only thing we'll caution you, because ChatGPT and Gemini can be great tools, it's great for drafting. So I wouldn't just, put all my information and ask them to give you a resume and just copy and paste it as your resume. You need to put in your unique skills. Employers and hiring managers want to see um, who you are as a person. What are your skills? What are your soft skills and hard skills? We're going to talk about that. Um, so you don't want to just, cut and paste. I can tell when someone comes in here for a resume review that they've gone to ChatGPT. It's just very vanilla and bland. So you don't want that when you're applying for a job. Definitely customize it to the job and make sure there's some information in there about you as a person. So resumes, as I mentioned, lots of changes. So you're probably going to need to shake it out and streamline it and change it up. You should be using fonts that are sans serif, which is no little curly cues, no Times New Roman, that's totally out. You want to go back no more than 15 years. If you've been at a company for 20 years, well, you could still say 15 plus. Um, but, if you can show job progression, it's okay to say 20. You're not going to include the street address anymore. You need to have a LinkedIn profile. We do have classes on that. If you're, not up on that technology, you can take one of our classes. You just want to put in one phone number. I would recommend mobile phones so people can get to you when you're out and about. We don't use a career objective anymore. We use summary now. If you've not gone to a resume class, you should. either virtual or in person. We have them 3 or 4 times a month in the Metro North region. You want to make sure that you're putting in accomplishments, not just tasks. So you want to show actions and results in each bullet. You want to use action verbs. Don't just list, I did this, I did this. You want to use action verbs and you want to show results. That's another class I would recommend you take. We talk about accomplishment statements in the resume class, but we also have every month a CAR-STAR. It's called CAR-STAR Language of Job Search, which is a great webinar to take. And that is happening in July, on July 16th. If you can't make that date, we also tape, or like I'm doing right now, our webinars so that you can go to our YouTube channel and watch it, and that will give you the information. You want to delete old terms in technology, things like COBOL, secretary. That's going to make you look old. We want to use current terms, delete all old terminology. You need to keep your resume to a 2-page maximum. Hiring managers don't have the time or inclination to read more than that. And the other tip to sort of age-proof your resume is not to do the 2 spaces after a period. That was when we were learning typing in high school or business school. You just need to do 1 space. So try to get rid of any 2 spaces after a period. Now, I don't want you to get worried. I don't know if everybody's checking for that, but we're just trying to help you be relevant, be with the times so that you don't look, like we said, old. Okay, so the other thing we want to talk about is hard and soft skills. You want to sell those because you have so many. So hard and soft skills. So hard skills are usually things that you've learned either at school or in your actual position or your career. Um, so, think about some examples. Think about like what you've learned in your career, what you need to be successful in your career. Things like writing, editing, project management, computer skills. So think about what you have, what are some of your new unique skills, and think about what sets you apart. And then soft skills are those that are you pretty much that you're born with. It's how you behave in the workplace. So hiring managers and recruiters are looking for people who have good interpersonal skills, who can work with other people, who can work well in a team. It's not okay just to be good technically. Now you need to also have those interpersonal skills. So yeah, that's great. So people are putting some in the chat. Thank you. I didn't say that because there's a lot of people, but that's great if you want to do that. Someone said soft skills were emotional intelligence. That's great. Recommended font for a resume would be like any of the sans serif, which are Calibri, Cambria, Tahoma. Um, I'm just kind of blanking, but if you watch the resume class, we go through all of the different fonts. Okay, so you want to put these into your resume somehow, either under the skills section or you have an adjective in your experience, the bullets that you have for each of your jobs, showing how you use those skills in your work. One example could be used excellent communication skills to deliver hundreds of webinars, or analyze machining process to revise process, saving the company 22% downtime weekly. So the accomplishment statements, it's great if you can put some quantitative information in those because they love to see metrics. They love to see what you've been able to achieve. Okay, so again, we're putting some of the resume stuff in this webinar. If you have not gone to a resume workshop, I would recommend you do that. Now, let's talk a little bit about emailing the documents. So most of you are going to be applying to a company or an organization, and they're going to ask you to go online to apply. So that came up first. So the first thing you want to make sure is just follow the employer's directions exactly as they ask. That will be a red flag if they see that you didn't, because then they're going to say, oh, they can't follow these instructions. That's not a good sign. So whatever they tell you to do, do. I would recommend you using a document rather than a PDF. And the reason is because the ATS, the applicant tracking system, may not be able to read a PDF. So unless the company specifies that they want PDF, send a document. You also want to attach these documents, but if you're sending the documents in an email, you want to have an introduction in the body of the email. Hi, I'm Mary Schneller. I'm applying for this position. Attached is my resume and my cover letter. That's only if you are emailing as an application. Most of the time, you're going to be uploading your documents on a company website. You want to name your files with the company's name and your name. So it could be something like Raytheon Mary Schneller or um, Amazon Mary Schneller. So your name and the company name. And also use that same format for the subject line in your email. So you put that, your name and the company in your email. Be sure to have a professional email. No AOL, no Yahoo, no Hotmail. Use Gmail. And the other thing is, whenever you can, attach a cover letter. We're actually having a cover letter workshop in person on Monday, the 16th. So if you're interested in that, you can go to our website and sign up. So a lot of people ask me, why is our cover letters out? They are not out. I think people appreciate getting one so that you can showcase your skills even more. Um, you know, oh, I'm just reading this as I talk. Sorry. Um, what is this person? What did my settings reset? Okay. Okay, sorry about that, Cindy. That's too bad. Yeah, so yeah, I think it's just a way to distinguish yourself. And everybody needs a leg up in this job market. It's very tight. So if you have time, you really like this job, you think it would be a great fit for you, definitely send a cover letter. If you're just trying to do this for a job search task, don't do it. But we really recommend you send one every time. It takes time. I'd rather see you apply for 3 or 4 jobs a week and do, customize your resume to that position and add a cover letter, then send out, 50 that you just easy apply on LinkedIn. That's really not going to get you too far. So take the time, do a good job on your resume, do a good job on your cover letter, and I think you're going to get better results. The other thing we want to talk a little bit about is remote skills. So this has become more important, especially after COVID when a lot of us were working from home. So if you have you used or you do use any of these tools, Zoom, WebEx, you're on WebEx right now, so you can say you use WebEx. MS Teams is a big one. GoToMeeting's kind of getting out of fashion, but I used to use it, so I put it in my resume. So get those remote skills in your resume. The other thing is, can you include, do you have a telepresence, which means, do you have a website or are you on LinkedIn? That's something that most employers are going to go right to your LinkedIn profile once they get your resume. So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, that's something you should put on your list. Have you ever worked virtually? You can put that into your resume. I work remote for however many years. And then, are you prepared to work remotely? Are you a problem solver? Can you work autonomously? There's not going to be a manager walking around seeing what you're up to or there for questions. How's your time management? You're going to need to be able to manage your time effectively. So these are some things if you're interested in working remotely that you put onto your resume. Yeah, so definitely do that. Sorry about the cough drop. All right. Then we're going to talk about networking. So, I know a lot of people don't like to. They feel shy or introverted or it's not fun for them. It isn't. It can be not fun. I'm an extrovert and it's even hard for me. But you, as older workers, have a lot more contacts than other people might. So you need to use that network. You need to let everybody know that you're looking for a job. The other thing that you have is more often you know what you want to do. You don't want to do that job you had for the last 10 years. You want to do something different. Or you want to give back to an organization that you've always wanted to work for. Um, you want to have a great mixture of those hard and soft skills in your resume, as we talked about. You want to come across accomplished and professional, not desperate. You don't want to walk up to someone and say, "Hey, I really need a job." What you want to do is ask for some contacts. Who should I be talking about my experience? Okay? And don't think about yourself as unemployed when you walk up to people. Think about yourself as a professional, whatever you are, because that's going to color the way you come across. Remember that whole saying, eyes, wide open, good eye contact, your head held high. You walk around like you're the top of the world. That's going to get you noticed. Don't walk in like your tail between your legs, okay? And develop an elevator speech. We have a great class on elevator pitches next week in person. I'm going to be holding a session here in Woburn on June 18th from 2 to 3:30. We also have webinars on elevator pitches, so if you have not done that, please sign up for the class. So an elevator pitch speech is really just a 30-second about who you are and what you've done. It shouldn't take long. It should be as long as it takes to get from the ground floor to the sixth floor. Um, and again, be able to speak to your accomplishments. You want to practice those. And we call them CAR-PAR statements for challenge, action, results, and problem, action, results. And so again, if you have not taken those classes, I would take them. And here are just some examples of what the CAR-PAR statements look like. I'll let you read those while I look at the chat. Remote skills can be put into your experience. Um, yeah, in between jobs is okay. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, just say I'm looking for a new opportunity. That's a little less loaded, maybe. The workshops too, they have, we usually cap it at 15. The webinars, we go up to 90. Why are virtual? Oh, I don't, we do our calendars pretty far in advance. So, I don't know what you're talking about. Is it this one specifically or the elevator pitch? Not sure what that means. Yeah, you're not going to see anyone's comments or questions. That's for your privacy. Only I can see them. Oh, CarStar, yeah. We only are having in person in June, but we usually have one virtual every month. Next month we have one on the 16th that's virtual. And you can also look on our YouTube video, YouTube channel and watch it there. All right, so you get the idea what the CarStar accomplishment statements look like. Okay, so again, I'm reluctant to network. So again, don't be shy, ashamed, embarrassed, or reluctant to reach out. This is a really good statistic, and I share this with job seekers a lot. 57 to 80% of people get hired via networking. Okay, a lot of people are sitting at home on their computer 8 days, 8 hours a day, applying for jobs. You really need to get out of your house. You need to go places. You need to talk to people. We have a job seeker group that you can join, 50 plus job seekers. They have presentations twice a month. It's a really good resource, so check that out. You've built a network, so you need to use it. You can do this on LinkedIn. There are lots of groups on LinkedIn. You can join them. You can start a professional or personal blog. You can join virtual networking groups, talk to your friends, former coworkers, your family, meetup groups, check in your area, check by your industry. Okay, so this is really important. That's how I've gotten quite a few jobs, so it works. This is a networking group for people over 50 in Massachusetts. It's funded by the Mass Library Collaborative. You don't have to live in any of those towns. You can just sign up on this website. It is sponsored by 9 Mass public libraries, and they have meetings on the first and third Wednesdays of the month. So if you have not looked into that, I would definitely look into that. Oh, June 18th, sorry. I'm someone who has a hard time doing two things at once, so forgive me if I make mistakes. I'll do my best. All right. The other thing you want to do if you're interested in changing careers is have informational interviews. So these are really to help you get information about a job, a career field, an industry, or company. It's not a job interview. So you don't want to go into that asking for a job. It's an opportunity to speak with someone who's working in a field that you'd like to explore. You want to be specific and direct about what you want when you ask them for their time. Be sure to set a time limit, especially for people who are working. They don't have a lot of time. I would say 15 minutes, 30 at the most. If how do I ask for one? You're going to email them. If you have been referred, you want to use the referral's name and let them know you want to learn more about their profession, which is totally fair. Most people want to help people that are looking for jobs. Not everybody does, but if they don't, you just move on. You don't take it personal, you just go on to the next name. You let them know that you want to hear about their career and their experience working at, example, James Brothers. And you can just say, I'm looking to make connections in the field. So that's where that networking really comes in because you can ask people, do you know someone who does this kind of career? I really want to talk to them because this is what I think I want to do for my next role. These are some questions you can ask in your informational interview. What's the main or most important personal characteristics for success? Ask about salary. If you need to make a certain amount of money, you want to know that. The other place you can go is on to ownetonline.org, which is a great resource for salaries, salary.com. Ask the person what's the satisfying aspects of this type of work. What are the toughest problems and decisions for this type of role? What do you need to do to break into this field? Do you have to take training? Do you have to take an exam? Do you have to be part of a union? And then what are the duties that are typically performed during a typical day, week, or month? Okay, so again, you want to get this information because if this is what you want to do, you want to know ahead of time if these are some red flags for you. We're going to share what an email, just a draft email might look like. This person is exploring opportunities in nonprofit fundraising. They talk about what they've done in Worcester. They give their referral name. Um, that you'd be a good source of information. Other people I might contact. 15 to 30 minutes, let me know. You're also going to give your contact information at the end of this email. They'll have your email, but you should give them your phone number. And I look forward to hearing from you. Okay, so it's very simple. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Short is better than long, no more than 2 paragraphs. You're not selling yourself, you're just looking for information. Okay? You're going to get this PowerPoint if you're here in the class for 30 minutes or more, so you can look over this information. LinkedIn, I've talked about that quite a few times. So LinkedIn really helps you with networking, looking for jobs. Um, you're probably aware that, recruiters and hiring managers are using LinkedIn more and more to find great candidates. They can do a keyword search, and that's in the resume class, basically putting in words that you see in job descriptions into your resume. They can do that on LinkedIn, and you're going to need to be a match. Make sure your account has lots of industry specific keywords. You can get them from those job ads. Delete any old term like secretary, DOS, use new terms. Find them, do a search on LinkedIn for people in the profession that you're interested in and see what their resume looks like and put those terms into your profile. Get endorsements and recommendations. Ask people to endorse you, ask people to give you recommendations. That's important. That can go right on your profile. You can follow organizations that you're applying to, and you can also join groups in your specialty area and post, articles or information that is going to get you noticed. No, I would not identify myself as a mature worker. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that. No, there's too much ageism right now. Just say you're a experienced professional, but mature sounds old. I'm sorry. Social media. So again, you don't have to be totally proficient on any of these, except for LinkedIn, I would say. Google, you need to get on to do searches. So if you're not on those, we have classes here and on social media, Google. So, look on our website and choose some classes that you think are going to help you. You can start a blog, which is basically just a log that's online. X is a place that people are finding jobs, which is formerly Twitter. So definitely, if you want to get familiar with Twitter, that's a good idea. Obviously, email, LinkedIn, Chat GPT, Gemini. Anybody else have a favorite social media site that they go to for job search? Okay. If you're looking for a part-time job, I've heard Craigslist is a good place to try. So if you haven't done that, I thought Craigslist was gone, but I guess it's still alive and kicking. So if you're looking for something part-time, you might check that. And then, we have the hidden job market. So we have a class on cracking the hidden job, excuse me, job market, which some of you might have already attended. So sometimes they don't put the jobs on Indeed or LinkedIn. They get overwhelmed. They get so many applicants. So they try to find people via their employees and contacts and LinkedIn. So sometimes what I used to do is, identify companies I might like to work for, and I just go to their website and I look for careers, and I might see a job just out of the blue that would be perfect for me. That was my skill set, my background, and I'd apply. I get in before the deluge of people that are coming from Indeed or LinkedIn. So it's a you should be researching companies anyway, so you know what the type of company it is, and you can talk with them about that in your interview. But it's also another great way to get a job or get an interview, excuse me. We talked about your headline. Make sure your headline and summary are filled with industry specific terms and skills. That's the first thing they're going to see. So, do some searching on LinkedIn. What are the, most recent terms and skills that I should put on my resume and my LinkedIn? Take out any dated information, replace with current information. So you don't want to have jobs on your LinkedIn past 15 years. I would delete those because again, you're trying to, get away from the ageism. And the other thing is look for companies that are expanding. You're probably driving around a little bit, maybe going to the career center or interviews. If you see a company on 128 that's building a whole new addition or a new facility, that's a that's key that they could be looking. I'm sorry, I'm gonna need to take a drink of water. Just give me a minute. Um, you can also look at LinkedIn. You can look at Boston Business Journal, Glassdoor. Is there any other places that you go to look for companies that might be expanding? Yeah, BBJ. Yeah, Boston Business Journal. Yep, thank you. They also, we have a Monster, okay, Glassdoor, Indeed, just LinkedIn. LinkedIn has part-time job listings. Yeah, mass.gov. Yep, great. Thank you. Yeah, those are great resources. I was going to say something. Oh, every year a Boston Globe does top companies to work for. I used to pour through that until somebody told me that the reason they're getting the best job, the best place to work is because they're advertised. All right, but still, you can still read about what people said about working there. It's another resource. So if you get the Globe, you can take a look at that as well. All right. So I do hear from people, more than I'd like, that people ask them, or recruiters or hiring managers ask them how old you are. One trick is to just tell them you're over the age of 18. And that's a little, can come across as a little snarky, but I mean, you can also say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't think that that was an appropriate question for an interview." Actually, it's against the law in Massachusetts because we have the Equal Pay Act, but you don't want to get into that because you want the job, hopefully. So, if you are asked to submit a photo ID, just say you're concerned about identity theft. You'd rather not until it's decided if you'll be joining the company. They might also ask, are you overqualified for the job? You can say, hey, I've done this job before. I'm at a point in my life where I really want to go back to what I was doing when I was, 10, 15 years ago. I don't want a manager job. I don't want a lot of not responsibility, but a lot of pressure. So this really fits me right now. Are you up to date with technology? We talked about that. Why have you been out of work so long? I mean, that's kind of a rude question, but you could just say, listen, I've been looking really hard. I've been taking some classes on LinkedIn. We're going to talk about some education sources. Maybe I had to take care of a sick relative, but now I'm ready and I'm really excited about this opportunity. How do you feel about working for a manager that's younger than you? Just say, yep, I've done that before, never been a problem. Okay, so you need to have answers to some of these questions because they could come up. Usually they're polite enough not to, ask you anything that's awful, but if they are, they are, and you just do the best you can and answer it politely and move on. Yeah. It's legal to ask. Yeah, that's not illegal to ask how you would feel working for someone younger than you. And I've worked for people that are younger than me most like since I've been in my 40s. So, I mean, I feel like that's pretty common. So you can say, yeah, that's really been my experience and it's been fine. And just leave it at that. Interview. So let's talk about the interview. So they might have just talked to you on the phone. You might have had a quick Zoom meeting and they didn't really see you. So before the first thing we want to talk about is when to get there. Always arrive 10 to 15 minutes and don't blame it on the traffic if you're late. I even would suggest finding out where it is and going to that place before the day of your interview, just so you know the traffic patterns, you know where it is. You're not going to get lost on the first day. Wear current style clothes, not the old funeral suit. So that's where you have the Tailor for Success career closet you can reach into. If you have friends that are around your size, get something relevant. It doesn't have to be a short skirt, um, but just be comfortable in whatever you choose to wear. If you have gray hair, to dye it or not. I do. It's really up to you. For men, it's not as typical as women. So check the industry you're applying for. Go on their website and see what it shows. If you see lots of young people, I would recommend coloring your hair. Because you don't want to look like the old grandma. You want to look like somebody who's going to be fine working with younger people. Um, and you can also, if you get another tough question, if they say, well, how are you going to feel about working with young people? You can say, hey, I really get a lot of energy from them. They invigorate me, and I'm happy to learn from them. And I have things I think I can, provide to them. So just be positive, upbeat, show energy and enthusiasm. If you need to have a couple cups of coffee before you go, do it. Just show your stuff. Then after the interview, you're going to need to get everyone's contact information. Now, everyone doesn't have business cards anymore, so make sure you ask for their email address because it's really hard to get that after the interview. You also want to send a thank you note to anybody that you've talked to. I know that sounds burdensome, but it's really effective. I remember interviewing people. If they didn't send me a thank you note, that was a little bit of a red flag because you've taken their time. So at least thank them for that opportunity. And these are some resources for interview questions over 50, also interview questions and answers. The other thing you can do is Google positive answers to tough over 50 questions. So that again, that's positive answers to tough over 50 questions, and it'll give you samples and potential answers. The other thing about how old are you, it is illegal, and we said they may ask, but if so, would you want to work for them? If they're going to be not happy about working with an older person, you wouldn't want to be there, I don't think. I mean, because then you're going to feel uncomfortable and you're going to feel like you're being watched. So keep that in mind. It's an absolutely illegal question and it's not appropriate. Nobody should be asking you that. But if they do, you have to have an answer. Oh, yeah, we talked about this. Okay. This is a sample thank you note. You're going to get this in the PowerPoint. It's just a draft, but it gives you the most relevant information. And again, you always want to send one to each person that you interview with. If you only meet with someone for like 15 minutes, that can be a very short note, but make them a little bit different because they're gonna compare them. And so you don't want to have a rote note that everybody gets the same one. Okay, this takes time. It's a pain in the neck, I know, but do it. You will get some props for that. The other thing you can do if there's not a job opening at the company you want to work for is you can send a letter of interest. We have a URL site you can read about letter of interest. And basically what it is just expressing your interest in the company, telling them a little bit about yourself, putting your contact information, maybe I give you a call in a week or so to follow up. We do have a separate webinar on this topic. We don't offer it that often. I think I'm doing one either in July or August. And also check our YouTube channel again because we do record these webinars. But that's another option for you. If there's not a job open currently, they get your email and they say, hey, this person sounds great. I think we might be hiring. Maybe I'll call them. So it's another tool for your toolkit. Upgrade your skills. We've been talking about this. So there's a couple of sites you can explore on. Coursera has hundreds of courses. They do cost, but there are various prices. They're online and they're taught by academics. GCF Global is Goodwill Community Foundation. There's lots of basic Microsoft and other general courses. LinkedIn Learning is a great tool. You can access it if you have a premium LinkedIn account, or you can go to the Boston Public Library, which is bpl.org, and get an e-card, and you can go to their site to access LinkedIn Learning. So try BPL because if you to have a premium subscription, it used to be $69 a month, and it probably has gone up since I had one. What you can do is sign up and then just put it in your calendar to cancel before the month is out, and just try to take some LinkedIn learning classes. It does go on your LinkedIn profile, and it makes you look like you care about your professional development, and that you're doing something when you're looking for a job. That's something you can answer. Oh yeah, I took a class on this because I really wanted to get better at it. That shows you're interested in your professional development. Okay, I'm just gonna look real quick at the chat because I know I haven't been paying attention. You saw a position on an internal site that you're qualified for. I guess I don't know how you were able to get an internal site. I mean, I suppose you could. Thank you note should be maybe two, at the most three paragraphs. Brief, brief. Okay. Okay, so the next thing is how to talk salary. You will always want to be flexible and you want to be confident. Now, salary is a tough thing to talk about. I know I always am shy to ask for more money, or I mean, one thing you need to go in is, what's your value? Do your research. Go on onetonline.com. I mean, excuse me, .org, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Glassdoor. You can look on salary.com. They tend to be a little high. ONET Online I love because it gives you what the salaries are in Massachusetts per se. It's state by state. So you can see a range of, lowest skills to lowest salary to medium salary to high salary. So, look into how much you think you should be paid. You need to establish your bottom line salary requirements before you discuss it. So, if you need 75,000 to live comfortably and they say 70, then that's where you can maybe do some negotiation. Remember that salary is just one part of the job. They could be giving you a bonus after so many months. They could give you extra vacation. You can ask for that maybe, stock options, company car. These are some things you can ask for. Even maybe extra benefits. So if the salary's low, maybe that's something you want to negotiate on. Definitely have some room for negotiation. Never give your lowest number. So if they ask you what you're looking for, give them a range. Don't say, 75 if that's your lowest number, because that's what they could just as easily pay you that. And you also want to identify if you'd be comfortable making less, if you can live that way, because if you can't, then you don't want to take that job. I mean, the only reason I would say to take it is if you've been out for a long time, 6 months to a year, you're out of unemployment, you need money, maybe you take it as a bridge job and you keep looking. But, salary is important. Don't be afraid to ask for what you think you're worth. But keep in mind, the longer you're out, the longer it is, the harder it is to find something. So you might just have to take it and keep looking. Yeah, you only want to talk about it. Yeah, you only want to talk about it at the offer. But sometimes people will ask you, like recruiters will ask you what you're looking for, and I would just tell you, just always give them a range. Don't give them an exact number. Or you can also say, this is what I've done. I say, well, what is the range for the position? I answer the question with a question. And it's really because they don't want to waste your time or theirs. If you're looking for 100 and it pays 80 or 70, you're probably not going to take it. So that's really why they ask at that stage. So to review, keep thinking this. You're a star. You are worthy, you are valuable, you have a lot of experience. You want to make sure you're current. You want to showcase relevant accomplishments that relate to that position. You want to show your uniqueness. You want to have some savvy with social media. You want to be flexible on the salary, remote hybrid, all of that. You can't be too picky. You have to be able to flex and streamline your past jobs. You don't need jobs 30, 40 years ago on your resume. Okay, I know it's your experience, you're proud of it, but you're going to get into trouble if you put in jobs that were in 1986. If you want to keep them on, take the dates out. These are some resources from AARP. AARP is a great site to go on and just learn about, work, trying to get a job over 50. These are some online learning options in addition to what we've already talked about. And then we have for AARP, you can go onto their website and take how to age proof your resume. They have a really good career page. These are some over 50 job sites. We have tons of resources for you, so definitely take advantage of these. These are some of the resources we use to create these workshops. Jobhunt.org is a great website. They can give you questions for different positions, typical questions you might get if you're a marketing manager or a learning and development professional. And they give you the answers too. So it's a good place to prep for an interview. More resources on discrimination, age, overqualified. And like I said, I've been kind of pushing some of our webinars. We do have a website for all of our new webinars. You can also check out our YouTube channel. As I mentioned, we record the classes, and we put them up on our YouTube channel. There's the link, and you can just Google Mass Hire Metro North Career Center YouTube. And then to register, you're just going to go to our website. You can also do it through JobQuest. You can access our virtual workshops on this slide as well as instructions. So I want to thank you all for coming. Here's all of our centers in Metro North. Our newest one is in Malden. It's on 2 Florence Street. It's right across from the T station. So if you haven't visited that center and it's close to where you live, definitely check it out. We are all open 4 days to the public. Chelsea, Cambridge, Chelsea, and Malden are open from Monday through Thursday. We are working on the day that we're not there, but we're just not open to the public. And Woburn, we're open from Tuesday through Friday, all 8:30 to 4:30. So you can always come in, use our computers, ask for help. We welcome everybody who needs help. And that is it, my friend. My friends. We have a lot of friends, 55 people, my goodness. So what I will do is look at the roster and make sure you are here for 30 minutes, and then I will send you out the PowerPoint, and that will also give you credit for this workshop. I'm just going to look quickly on some of the questions on the chat. Okay, I saw that one. Okay, these are the other places to look for jobs is for biotech, mathbio.org. Cover letter, I would say 3 paragraphs, maybe 4 at the most. Really think about brevity. They're not going to read the whole thing. They're going to skim through it. So don't go crazy. Yeah, definitely thank you. Yeah, you can do email for thank you notes. Yeah, you don't have to write a real letter. They're not going to get it. It'll take a week. So do the email. Yeah. Yeah, so someone asked a question, any tips on salary negotiation in a tight job market? I've read about people losing offers after trying to negotiate. I mean, you have to use your own judgment. If it's super, super low and they're asking you to to take on the world, then I would. But again, you have to think about your financial situation. Are you out of employment? Do you need a job? You know, so sometimes I remember years ago in 2008 when everything went south, I'd been out for almost 2 years and I got a job paying $20,000 less than what I was making. And I told my father, I said, I don't think I should take it. He goes, Mary, you've been out of work for 2 years. You need to take it. And I did. He was right. I mean, how long was I going to wait? So again, it's a personal decision. I wouldn't negotiate too hard. Maybe ask them if they can come up a little. And if they say no or they can't, then and you need the job, you take it. Just don't be too strong about it. Like, I really have to make this much money, stuff like that. Yeah, I would say years of job history, 10 to 15 years. If you've worked at a company for 20 years and you have some career progression, you could go back to 20, but that's the exception. Oh, someone said Salesforce Trailhead is a free resource recommended for learning Salesforce CRM skills. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome, guys. If you don't, someone asked if you don't require health benefits, should you tell them to try to potentially get a higher salary? I don't know. I'm not sure how to answer that. We have, I keep pushing our workshops. We have a salary negotiation class coming up. That might be a good question for that class. I'm not sure. It's really tricky. Oh, you're welcome, everybody. You're welcome. Oh, okay. We don't have this class that often, but with the amount of people that joined this time, we might be adding one. But I did record it, so you can go to our YouTube channel and watch it, and you'll get credit for it. You're welcome. Oh, yeah. Oh, Kimi, I saw you quite a bit, so I think you'll be okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, you're welcome, everybody. Great. All right. So I'm seeing if there's anybody else in here in the Q&A. Go during. Yeah, that's a good idea. Go during the commute time. Definitely do a drive-by if possible. Maybe there will be construction the next day. There will be signs for that. Good. That's a good suggestion. Thank you. Gauge the traffic. Oh, thank you, Bill. You sound surprised. He said this was actually a really informative presentation. I'm just giving you a hard time. Some good tips on LinkedIn and your many resource recommendations. You're very welcome. You're welcome. I would not talk about salary after an interview. Nope. Nope. I would wait till they give you an offer. It's in the presentation, the YouTube channel. Yep. The YouTube channel link. Yes, it is in the presentation. And you'll get that. All right. If there's no other questions, I am going to log off. It's 12:04. You do have my email if you have other questions. Um, Make sure, just send me a note and I'll do my best to answer them. All right. So have a great rest of your day. I heard it's going to rain tomorrow, which isn't wonderful, but what can you do? If your father's, happy Father's Day. And if you're not, enjoy your father if he is still alive. And have a great day and good luck on your job search. Okay? Have a good one. Thanks, everybody.